Well, welcome to the State House. I'm so sorry I couldn't be here with you today. Girls' Day at the State House is one of my favorite days of the legislative session, so I'm sad I'm not here. I'm actually down in Washington, D.C. with Senate President Mitchell and a number of the other legislative leaders. Hopefully we're going to meet Barack Obama. I've never met him before, but it's a meeting of legislative leaders with members of Obama's cabinet as well as the White House. So hopefully you come back to the State House next year and I can meet you next year. So I'm just going to give you a quick update of what I do. I'm Speaker of the House. I'm in my 7th year of being in the Maine legislature. I'm only 32 years old. I'm the second woman in Maine to ever be Speaker of the House. And right now I'm the youngest woman Speaker of the House in the country. So I think that's pretty neat. I'm doing this because I want more women to be involved in politics. I think it's important for young people and women to be involved in the political process because I think it's one of the most important places we could be. I know that all of you, you're only in 7th and 8th grade and you haven't figured out what you're going to do with your life, but I want you to think about being in elective office at some point in your life, whether it's just running for the school board in your town or running for the state legislature or running for president. It's important that we're involved in politics because a lot of big decisions are made about our lives, about our families, about our state, about our environment, and it's really crucial that we're involved. So I grew up on a small island off the coast of Maine called North Haven. I graduated in a class of only 5 people, and they were all girls. And the junior class was 5 people, and they were all boys. So I was excited to get out off the island for a little while. When I was in high school, my mom actually ran for the state senate. So my first real experience with politics was working for my mom and watching her get elected to the state senate. She then went on to become the Maine Senate Majority Leader, and now she's some of your congresswoman down in Washington. My mom is Pingree, our newest Maine congressperson. So I'm really proud of her, and I learned a lot about politics from my mom. I learned a lot about politics from living in a small town and watching my mom and dad on the school board, and I learned a lot just working on her campaign. So I first ran for office when I was 24 years old. I came back to Maine to work on a campaign for my mom, and I didn't expect to run for office, but I lived on the offshore island I grew up on. There were a lot of issues, from fishing issues to affordable housing, and I decided it was important for me to get involved, so I decided to run for the legislature. And I'm having a lot of fun. It's a busy job. It's exhausting at times. There's some really hard parts about it, but it is a lot of fun, and it's a really important place to be. So again, I'm sorry I'm not with you, but I hope you have a great day.
Speaker Pingree, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with the girls. And I guess one of the things that I want to take the opportunity to ask you is, what would you say to girls about how they can participate right now in the policy-making process? Can they, and
Sure.
if so, how?
Sure. Well, first of all, you're here today. Hopefully you meet a lot of representatives. I'm not sure if you're going to meet the governor or any cabinet members, but one of the things you can do is just ask them questions. Ask them about issues you care about. Ask their opinions on issues, and if you have a strong opinion, ask them to do something. A major part of our democracy is interacting with those people who are elected to serve you. And whether it's the school board member who makes decisions about your school, or it's your state representative, or it's the governor, you have the right to send them emails, to ask them questions, to meet with them if there are issues that you care about. So that's one thing you can do. I also think if you're excited about somebody who is elected or who's running for office, get involved in their campaign. I've watched a lot of campaigns, from the president's campaign to my mom's campaign to much smaller campaigns where people of all ages get involved, making phone calls to try to get out the vote, putting up yard signs. So if you're really excited about politics, there probably isn't going to be another big election until 2010, but that's a great year to get involved. You guys will be in high school, and if you're excited, volunteer on a campaign, and the more involved you get, the more people will be impressed with you, and I guarantee it will start your involvement in politics.
That's great. So when you first started, during your first campaign, was it scary as a woman, or just doing something new, or as a
Sure.
young person? What did you do to get over that?
I think that for young people, but for anyone, I mean, I now work with candidates of all ages, and being in politics can be scary sometimes. I mean, you have to go out and put yourself out there. Your name is on the ballot, just like a school council or a school president election. people are going to decide whether or not they want to vote for you, and that's scary. But you know, you just have to go out there and tell the truth and be honest and meet people and spend a lot more time listening than talking, asking people what they care about. And you know, if you work hard, you have a good chance of getting elected. But it is scary. I was only 24 when I decided to run. I thought I might be too young, I might not be experienced enough. But I got talked into doing it, and I did it. And for the most part, you know, most of the people that I talked to during my campaign really appreciated that a young person was interested in the community and cared about where they lived and making a difference. And I got elected with over 60% of the vote my first election. People appreciated that I just took the time to listen to them. I look young now. I'm 32 now, but I looked even younger then. But you know, if you're serious and passionate, people will take you seriously.
And so now that you're speaker, what does that involve? What leadership role do you? Can you explain the leadership role a little bit?
Sure. Well, I mean, as Speaker of the House, one of my jobs, and hopefully you'll go into the House chamber today, is to preside over the chamber. So I stand up at the podium, they give me a big gavel, and I decide, I call on people, allowing them to speak. I help move the process along to get bills passed, to get bills referred to committee. So I sort of oversee the whole process. We have 151 members of the House, as well as 2 representatives, and I appoint them all to committees. I work with the majority leader and the assistant majority leader to make decisions about process and what we're going to do on any given day. I work a lot with the Senate President, Libby Mitchell, and the governor to try to make big decisions about what we're going to do and when we're going to do it and what policy direction we want to go in. I spend a lot of time meeting with members and just talking to them about what they're doing and what they're concerned about or what bills they're trying to pass. I have a lot of different jobs as Speaker, but most of them are a lot of fun. There are some things that are very challenging about it, and people aren't always happy with each other, and sometimes they're not always getting along, and my job is to mediate, but it's really to oversee the operations of the House and the policy that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
And so I think now women in the legislative bodies overall is about 29%, and I know you had a great hand in pushing that number up over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
What do you think it's going to take to get to 50 or 51% of women?
Well, the way we're going to get to 50% is by a lot more of the girls who are here today deciding to run for office. I mean, frankly, when I first ran for office 6 or 7 years ago, the number of women in the legislature had dropped. One of the highest periods we had was when the first woman Speaker of the House, Libby Mitchell, was Speaker of the House. My mom was Majority Leader of the Senate. They worked really hard to recruit women to run for office, to talk them into doing it. We often find that women are some of the best candidates, some of the best legislators, but they're harder to convince because they don't want to put themselves out there, or they're busy with their kids or their families. So first thing we need to convince is more women to run. And we've been working hard to get more girls involved. We've been working hard to train more women to run for local and state office, and it's starting to pay off. We also spend a lot of time just looking for women who are candidates who want to run for open seats. So that takes a lot of effort, but we've been making progress. We know that having women here is, just like having young people here, is a really important part of the process. So we're headed in the right direction, but the only way we're ever going to get to that 50% mark is to have a lot of the young people, like the women here today, decide to step up and run.